Welcome to this webinar on HP Service Anywhere, simplifying your IT service desk. My name is Suresh GP. I'm the champion for the Bangalore chapter. So it's quite exciting to be here to present the first webinar for the Bangalore chapter. Just to introduce the team here, Sandeep Srinivas and myself are the leaders of the Vivit Bangalore chapter. You must have listened to our emails that have gone. We have a HP Service Management Special Interest Group with Mary, Flores, Morris, Laura, and Audra. So they are your leaders for the Service Management Special Interest Group. A brief introduction about the speaker today, if we could move to the next slide. If you just want to know about us, so Sandeep and so on. So today's presenter, I have a great pleasure in introducing Hemant, who is Hemant Dattatreya, who is the pre-sales consultant, technology strategist in HP's Software as a Service division, focuses primarily on solutions that bring rapid time to value for customers' investments in HP software. Hemant has spent 14 years in HP in various divisions that included engineering, marketing, services, and now in pre-sales function. He has worked with customers extensively in Asia-Pacific region with special focus on China. His passions are on software as a service, service management, and IPv6. So we welcome you, Hemant, for today's session on software as a service. Before we go into the session, a couple of housekeeping rules. So if you could move on to the next slide. This live session is being recorded, so all the recordings will be available to all the Vivit members and will be posted on the site. The slide deck will be shared as part of PDF after the session, so you can get a copy of it after the session. This session, please, we encourage you to post your questions in the questions pane. So just to give you the next slide to show how it looks like. So you see on the right-hand screen the question window, question pane, where you can actually post your questions. And what we will do is, we will consolidate all the questions and probably take it at the end. So in order to make sure that there is no interruption in the flow, we give some time and then we consolidate it and then take over the questions. So with no further ado, I would now hand it over to Hemant to take it forward. Over to you, Hemant.
Thank you very much, folks. Good afternoon and evening to all of you. Just a quick check. Suresh, are you able to view my slides?
Yes, that's right, Hemant. I'm able to see the HP Service Anywhere Simple Scalable SaaS.
Fantastic. Folks, what we are going to do over the next 45 minutes is introduce you to HP's new offering in service management, which is HP Service Anywhere. I'm sure all of you are familiar with SaaS offerings. I'm pretty much sure that in your personal lives you have used services from Google and Facebook, those kinds of cloud services, including possibly Amazon. It's a trend in the industry which we believe is an irreversible trend. The customer expectations today are that from software as a service is that there are no upfront capital expenditure. Customers have also started to expect that the benefits that they get by the consumerization of IT could be extended to the enterprise by way of predictable annual costs. And most importantly, I think the biggest benefit that SaaS brings to the enterprise is around not having to administer infrastructure for running these services. The other trend that we are also seeing is that, for some of the examples that I've taken, like about personal services for Google, Yahoo, and Facebook, these are all for these are all consumer grade services. At the end of the day, what enterprises are asking are that they would like the benefits of consumer cloud, but with all the rigor and the expectations of the enterprise, which means that there is no compromise by way of having DR and backup strategies in place and so on. If you take a step back, and for those of you who are very familiar with service management solutions, and especially from HP Service Manager, you also know that at the end of the day, the objective of having a tool is to be able to deliver effective service, IT services to the end user in an enterprise. And however complex the tools can get to become over a period of time, quite simply speaking, their objective is really to to be able to simplify the process of requesting or obtaining services, and to be able to handle incidents quickly within the enterprise. So over a period of time, what we've seen is customers have started to expect all of this to be packaged as ITSM as a service, which really begs the question of what are the customer and end user expectations when it comes to availing IT as a service. At the end of the day, tool is only a means to the end, which means that customers today expect tools to be very easy to evaluate, which means that nobody has the kind of time or resources to conduct proof of concepts that last many multiple man months. They want to be able to go simply log in and expect to be able to evaluate a tool and do a proof of concept or a trial, quite simply speaking. And some of you are also familiar about the time it takes for the value from the tool to be also realized. It can take anywhere between 3 to 6 months to effectively deploy your organizational processes within the enterprise and start to get value out of these tools. So our customers expect tools to be very quickly deployed, and something that is very easy to use and very intuitive to work with. And the other challenge that our customers have faced, and we've also seen this as a trend in the industry, is once you set up and implement ITSM solutions, the more you configure and the more you customize these solutions, the harder it becomes for upgrading the service and upgrading the solution. So the expectation again, that's placed on us from our by our customers is to ensure that these upgrades are automatic and that they're seamless in the back end, and the customer or the end user simply focuses on using the tool and is not worried about what it takes in the back end to actually run and administer the tool. The other expectations from our customers are also have to do with no capital expenditure, a predictable OPEX model, and at the end of the day, to be able to start small and add users across multiple geographies as you move forward in rolling out your solution as the requirements grow. And as I mentioned to you, there should be no compromise on the enterprise grade features that an enterprise should expect, just because something happens to be offered as a service or from the cloud. So at the end of the day, it's not just about using tools, but our end users and customers also need experts to stand by them at an hour of need, and to ensure that the right process expertise and the right tooling expertise and the consulting expertise is there with them, and something that can be packaged together as part of the service that customers can subscribe to. It gives us great pleasure to unveil HP Service Anywhere. It's a completely brand new offering from HP. We have in fact taken a step back. We have completely re-engineered our offering in service management space, and we have just launched a brand new offering designed exclusively for SaaS. And if I were to put that in highlights for you to be able to remember quite easily, this is a service management solution that comes packaged with with social IT collaboration features. It brings forward an interesting set of features, very useful set of features called as codeless configuration that I will speak about in a moment. And then the other 2 points that I would like you to remember are that we make it very easy and seamless for you to stay current, which means that upgrades are automatic, and it comes pre-bundled with lots of expertise from HP, not just about using the tool but about the process knowledge that we bring forward. So one of the things we have looked at is when service desk agents work on a case. It could be service desk agents or those who are working on the incident and the problem processes. We have seen that sometimes there is knowledge in the group and the community, and the tools should essentially augment the capability that operators bring to the table in real time, which means that there is a need for having social collaboration capability within the toolset. And we've in fact put this down as part of our core functionality, where our incident problem and change analysts are able to speak with each other, collaborate with each other regarding cases, and then socially resolve and update all the users regarding common problems that common IT users would face. And we also have a wonderful approach, a fantastic approach architecturally to resolve issues about upgrades. We have a notion that we've introduced called as codeless configuration. Typically what happens when you are customizing and implementing a service management solution is that you need to not just know about the processes that you need to implement, but you also need programming experts, people who must know JavaScript or who must know one language, programming language or another. And what happens is then there is a mad scramble to find programmers who are experienced in certain tasks, without whom you may not be able to proceed to the next step. And sometimes it is also difficult to stay in touch with the various scripting and programming languages that are used in solutions. So it becomes it's not just about having skill availability as a question, but it's also about one programmer or one technical specialist understanding the code written by somebody else. And then you have the question about code maintenance and so on and so forth. So what we've essentially done is we have built in a model where we have a graphical interface which includes processes, forms, tables, and so on, which is very intuitive to use, and essentially significantly reduces the need to write code. It doesn't mean you can't write code. You can, of course, extend the system as you wish, but it's not a must for those of you who'd like to simply start using the system. The other advantage that we have built in Service Anywhere is around automated upgrades. Typically, there is a lot, not just about downtime, but simply upgrading an ITSM solution from one version to another takes a great amount of planning, regression testing to ensure that what you built in the previous version doesn't get broken when you upgrade, and you need to ensure that everything lines up. We have tried to eliminate that headache by bringing in the notion of the HP system files and customer files. So essentially making it very easy to upgrade without touching any customization or configuration that our customers or end users might have built. In addition to that, what we've also done is it's not just about making a tool available as a service, that we have actually taken the best practices that we built over a period of time with IT service management by way of knowledge of processes, and built a professional services option for you to help jumpstart the adoption of Service Anywhere in your organization. Some of you may have heard about HP SaaS, but I will just give you a little bit of an overview. There are a lot of providers out there who claim to provide ITSM as a service, but essentially what I would like to highlight here is that HP SaaS as an organization has been in existence for more than 12 years now, and we are very, very experienced as a SaaS operator across multiple product lines that HP supports. It's not just in the service management space, but also in the application lifecycle management, portfolio management, project and portfolio management, monitoring, and so on. What it essentially means is that we cater to a breadth of enterprises who have enterprise-grade requirements, and in fact, you might be even pleasantly surprised to know that close to 50% of our customers are actually financial services institutions who have the strictest of requirements in terms of data retention standards and all the security policies that need to be in place to for them to be able to convince their regulators that their data is in the right hands. So we are pleased to say that we are ISO 27001 compliant by way of standard. We are independently certified by KPMG annually, and the other good news is that we are compliant to the Cloud Security Alliance the STAR certification. In fact, this is a very laborious process. Just to get through this CSA compliance takes more than 6 months, even assuming that we can answer all of those questions positively. But we have passed this with flying colors, and it's good news overall, right? So in addition to that, we bring 3.9 availability, which is 99.9% uptime as part of the standard SLA that we offer for all our services. And in addition to that, we do have both phone and web support available 24/7 from anywhere in the world. I'd like to stress here that when we took a step back, we looked at the way our end users interact with the tool. And one of the important design decisions we made is to give it a simple, lightweight look and feel, which is based on a modern Web 2.0 interface. And as you can see in the picture that are projected on the screen, on the left side you will see links starting with favorites and dashboards, and then you can pick and choose your respective module, which could be service desk, incident change and problem management, and then configuration management. And then there are these links that are available for the operator to log in and make admin changes as necessary. The other interesting thing that you can also notice here is we have the blue tab, which is basically an incident that has been opened up. You can have multiple such incidents open at the same time, and that essentially gives you the ability to switch through various incidents and cases, and move back and forth as you interact with the end users and their problems. The other interesting thing that you can see here is labeled as workflow, and beneath that you can see a few rectangles that are actually connected by arrow marks and then gears. This is essentially our workflow engine. So we have the ability, we give our end users the ability to design their workflows. And when an operator for either service desk or incident or change or whichever is the process that he's working on, when he opens an incident, he would always at any point in time see visually the appropriate workflow. And then depending on the stage that he is in, he can also notice what stage that particular incident is maintained at. And then you can see the decision-making gears that the process would follow as the operator would try to resolve the issue for the end user. On the right side, what you will notice is a conversation window. This is again very interesting and also we think very useful, simply because the analyst can speak with the operator can speak with the respective analyst in real time. He can add users, and then he can have a conversation going about that particular incident, and then make a change to the incident workflow as required to resolve the end user's problem. Other interesting stuff, we have modern look and feel for reporting. We are able to provide a detailed dashboard for service desk or for the respective modules. The users or the administrators or the managers involved can get detailed reports in various forms. It could be stacked bar charts, or it could be pie charts, or it could be information being grouped by various categories and so on. So you can get lots of information that could be sliced and diced in interesting formats for further analysis. Just to touch a little bit about in context, social collaboration. What we've seen essentially is it definitely helps to know who is the analyst related to a particular problem, who was the person who actually designed the process, or who could be those people who are on shift who are related to a particular application, because users face these kinds of problems. So if a user complains about a particular problem, and if an incident is raised, Service Anywhere can actually suggest potentially a group of participants who can participate in a conversation to resolve a problem. And then so this is what we call as in context to a particular problem. And then we have the analyst or the operator can then pick and choose which of the users would be more relevant in solving the problem, and drag those participants into the window, and then start a conversation in the right side of the panel, part of the window. So again, very useful in the context of collaboratively solving end user problems. So so what are we trying to achieve here, right? So in terms of the end customers, business needs and problems, lines of businesses typically have satellite organization. It could be remote sites, and sometimes it is very difficult to roll out these kind of services in different parts of the world. And what we have basically taken a step back is to offer significantly reduced capital expenses with a pay-as-you-go model. There is a very little operational overhead. Actually, the way we have set up the solution is there is almost no burden to the end user or to the end user organization. And most importantly, we have brought together simplified labor cost simply because you don't need to have a great deal of expertise, subject matter expertise in a particular tool for you to be able to use it. It is intuitive to be able to use, and everything about the tool is built to increase or rather maximize the amount of value that an end user organization can get out of rapid deployment of the tool. So to recap the key features that we have, for those of you who would be involved in basically rolling out Service Anywhere in your organizations, you will come across a process designer along with a form, table, and a task editor. I will show you a picture of this shortly. In addition to that, the features that we bring packaged into the offering out of the box are service desk, incident, problem, change management. We've also introduced the notion of service level targets, configuration management, and common workflows. So just to touch on this a little bit, see, typically what happens with end customers and users is they need to know how an incident or a problem or a change process ought to look like as per best practice. And typically what we've seen is the customers are most benefited when ITIL v3 best practices are deployed in a particular tool. What we have tried to do here is, as soon as you subscribe to the service, the tool comes pre-packaged out of the box with these ITIL v3 best practices. So how does that help? It helps in situations where you just want to start using the tool, and you want to use the tool as per the ITIL v3 best practices. But of course, we realize and we recognize that customers may have specific requests, specific changes that need to be made to a particular process, or the processes to follow a certain approval flow, or processes to be tailored as per end user requirements. So we do support tailoring by way of form, table, and the task editor and the process designer. But for end users who simply want to start using and start benefiting from the tool, and I think this would help such users to simply jumpstart their deployment of ITSM in their enterprise. And also to recap, the tool comes bundled with social collaboration. For those of you who are familiar with SM, which is Service Manager, you might be familiar with the ESS, self-service ticketing portal. So we have retained that in Service Anywhere. And in addition to that, we have actually also simplified user and role administration. We have centralized this for the sake of the administrator. So we can authenticate against a customer LDAP, and we also cache that data for improving the performance of authentication against LDAP. We do support integrations via web services, email, as well as connected. For those of you who might be familiar with other HP solutions and SM, you might be familiar with the connected the modules. and integration, so we support that as well. And we do have a number of tools and resources available for uploading existing users and data, and to be able to onboard customers very, very quickly. And we also feature seamless configuration updates over the course of the year, and these are typically done multiple times in a year, and it is quite seamless to the end user.
Hey Hemant, we have a couple of questions I think it would be appropriate to ask at this moment.
Okay.
So a question from Han Ping Feng is when a multi-country presence corporate customer bought HP Service Anywhere SaaS, where is this SaaS will be hosted? Does the customer have a choice where to host this SaaS?
Yes. The simple answer is yes. We currently offer this in 3 continents. One option could be to be hosted in the US in Houston. Second option could be if the customer needs it in Europe, it could be in London data center, and the third option could be in Sydney, Australia.
Okay, thanks. The second one is on slide 11. Does HP offer SaaS for server and network monitoring like OM, NNM, IMC?
You mean in terms of infrastructure monitoring?
Yes.
Or are we talking about hosting those products on SaaS?
Probably.
Yeah, I think if the question was about OM and NNM, we do not offer hosted versions of these software on SaaS.
Okay. He was talking about infrastructure monitoring.
Yeah, infrastructure monitoring, we do have a solution. We, in fact, we do have the BSM solution, which is you might be familiar with BSM 9.x, which includes site scope and agent risk monitoring for infrastructure. So all of that is supported on SaaS today.
Okay.
So in the interest of time, just have a couple of more slides, Suresh. So this is to give a picture, right, of what an end user would or an administrator of an enterprise would come across while using Service Anywhere. So the front end interface for a designer would actually start with the workflow editor, and the workflow editor is a graphical editor where a designer could pick an out of the box process for, let's say, incident process, and then he can click on any of the boxes, change the attributes, change the fields, change the labels, and then in fact even insert any other steps in that process, and also alter the decision-making criteria at any of these processes. So essentially, the process that comes out of the box can be picked. You can redesign it. You can relabel it. You can do whatever you want with it to suit your end, client requirements. And then once you save it, you can move on into the other part of it, which is basically to work with the table editor. So the form and the table editor give you the interface to design the look and feel of those forms in the way they present themselves to end users. And in addition to that, the table editor, you might notice here in this picture that you have the little round HP logo marks, right? And there are some tables that don't have that mark. Essentially, what HP has done here is, as a design decision, we have marked certain tables as HP proprietary and HP system tables, and those would be marked read-only. The tables could be, you could add additional fields, you could change certain attributes, and anything you do with it actually becomes an extension that is maintained separately. And if customers require, they can also create new tables, based on their needs. What we've done by separating the HP system tables from the customer tables is we have allowed customers the freedom to customize and configure and extend the product the way they wish, without touching what is important for upgrades. So this is very important for upgrades because HP will now be in a position to do automatic upgrades in the back end without breaking any of the configurations and customizations that a customer may have made. So this is to ensure service continuity that we have taken, this design decision. Architecturally, there are actually 4 layers. So the front-end layer is a modern, Web 2.0 interface, which supports with HTTPS, secure two-way communication, and there is a runtime environment layer that supports 3,500 concurrent sessions. And then this is actually designed for redundancy, high availability, to ensure that this is basically designed for SaaS. And in addition to that, the application layer, like I mentioned, the combination of application and database layer will provide the kind of delineation that you need to ensure that the HP system tables and data are maintained separately from the customer configurations and customizations, so that whatever upgrades we make are upgrade proof, and in the sense that to ensure that there are no failures. To touch upon packaging and pricing, we have a simple per user price. We don't actually charge separately for all the modules. So in the sense that if you bought maybe 50 users, the 50 users are entitled for all the modules that come with this the offering. And the other good news is, of course, we are flexible in the way we charge for users. We give you an option to choose between named and floating users. And for those of our customers who are currently with Service Manager or with Service Center or Service Desk, we do have special transition pricing available, which means that to protect the investments that you have made with our products with on-premise, we are in a position to give you significant discounts to be able to transition from your environment on-premise over to Service Anywhere. We do have at a nominal charge additional environments and reporting server available. The other good news, of course, is that upon processing the purchase order at our end, you can have a production environment deployed in about 24 hours. And it's a single user per month per user charge. This includes support, HP support. It also includes upgrades, and we think it's a fantastic deal because there are no hidden costs. So at this point in time, Suresh, would you like to step in and share a little bit about the Service Anywhere Foundation service?
I'm a business consultant with HP Software Services, so probably this comes under my suite of doing services for our customers. So what we have seen is, when we talk about SaaS, the one and most important part that the customers ask is, how quick can we up and running? So what they want is a solution which is readily deployed, has the instant best practices, and can go up and running, right? So if you look at the slide here, it just talks about a period of exactly a month. Prior to start, you have actually collected the customer preparation and prerequisites, just to make sure that you know exactly what is the information that the customer requires in terms of organization, content, and other stuff. And then you actually start out with the kickoff, and then design, then you build and configure. It could be a remote option, so there is no need for an agent to come here and do it on the system. They can do it remotely, so that saves the cost involved. And once it's been built and configured based on the data imports, all integrations being it outbound, the LDAP integrations, self-service logins, then it moves on to the test and acceptance. So be it functional testing, acceptance testing, and go live. And then within 5 days, you go live with support. So from kickoff and design till transition is just exactly 30 days. And end user training and project management can be taken over during the whole cycle. End user training can be done anytime before the go live date, right? So as long as it's completed before the go live date, we have this. So it's a good offering of foundation service. that with the kind of SaaS capability that we have, we could redeploy it at a custom environment and get the environment up and running with all the data configurations that you expect within 30 days of time. So with that, I will also ask Hemant to give a short demo of the Service Anywhere, and once we get to that, we will take upon these questions. There's a lot of amount of questions that have come in. Please keep that posted. We will take the questions at the end. Hemant, over to you.
Thank you very much, Sir. So what I'm going to do, folks, over the next 6 or 7 minutes is show you a recorded demonstration, and then we will move over into Q&A. Folks, are you able to see my screen?
Yeah, that's right. Go ahead, Hemant. We're able to see your screen.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, fantastic. So what we're going to see here is a use case where there is a user who's actually facing a PeopleSoft connectivity problem. So as you can see that this user logs a call, and that becomes logged as an incident, and the analyst is looking and trying to do some analysis on this, and he looks at the PeopleSoft issue and then logs an incident. As you can see below in the workflow process, once the call is logged, it moves into the phase of categorization. So you can see the entire life cycle of that incident, and the green highlight shows you where you are in that life cycle of that incident. So what the user would do, what the incident analyst would do at this point in time, and since it's a PeopleSoft issue, he clicks on applying a template. So this is actually pretty useful in cases where you know the applications you're dealing with, and it helps you pre-fill and pre-populate all the fields to be able to save problems. So if in an enterprise, if you have maybe 10 types of applications, so you can have 10 templates defined, so that it becomes very easy for the analyst to move forward, and they don't have to keep spend all the time in filling forms. So what the analyst also does here is clicks the social collaboration window, and it pops up a list of names of people who could be relevant in helping solving that issue. So that could be based on people who would have maybe owned the service, people who would have defined the service process, or people who could be related to that application. Those people could be added into the conversation, into the social collaboration window. And as you can see, a conversation has begun in the window about, does anyone know why the users are not able to access PeopleSoft? This, the incident that they're investigating now is about PeopleSoft being very slow to access. So once that information is exchanged between the analyst and the application expert, what the analyst passes the information back as to a suggestion with some change ticket that could have potentially caused the issue. He's trying to investigate by looking at any changes made to the application over the preceding 24 hours, and he links that back into this incident as a likely cause. So now they know that the problem was caused by an upgradation or a patch upgrade to PeopleSoft, and this information is updated into the form and then saved. So there is a discussion among the analysts now about what could be the potential workaround to get around this problem. And the suggestion that is made is, why don't you use the Citrix client instead to get access? And as you notice, the workflow is still at the categorization phase. So, what he does next is to go and update that for all users who are faced this issue and were complaining about PeopleSoft application being slow. All of those issues are linked to the change that was made in the previous day with an update, and an operator update being sent to everybody saying the workaround proposed is that you could start using Citrix client in the meantime. So that activity is then saved with the update being given. And you notice that once the proposed solution is typed in, it would also move the status in the workflow as well. So the operator has actually marked it to resolved. And then saves it. So this moves the incident through the workflow. As you can see that it has skipped through the various processes, and it has reached the final stage, which is review. What you can also notice is that as the workflow, as the incident moves through the workflow, you also see that the associated screens also change with it. So
we just have 5 minutes. I think we must. Are we close to that completion? We just have about 15 minutes.
Yeah, we're almost done, I think.
Okay. So we have a good amount of questions here. So I thought we will spend some time on questions as well.
Sure, fantastic. So to step back, what I would like to leave behind is a request for you to register for a free trial at hpserviceanywhere.com, and you can also follow our ITSM blog, and there are a lot of other online tutorials available through the HP Software channel in YouTube. Of course, this slide deck will be made available to you after this call, and then feel free to get in touch with us with your evaluation. So over to you folks, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Right. So thanks a lot, Hemant, for giving that presentation. I think in summary it was 3 to 4 elements that you covered neatly. Was low cost, highly effective, rapid deployment, codeless configurations, so seamless upgrades, and it's going to be lightweight. So I think these are key aspects that you emphasized as part of HP Service Anywhere. So one of the questions that I wanted to ask was, we have already HP Service Manager in place. So we are also having HP Service Anywhere. So does that mean that we will stop again upgrades from 9.3 of Service Manager and only continue with Service Anywhere? What's the kind of roadmap looking like?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. In fact, I'm sure that is on a lot of people's minds. For those of you who may not be familiar, till about September of last year, we used to offer SM 9.3 on SaaS, the same version, and so it was supported both on-prem as well as on SaaS. We took a step back and we realized that if we wanted to offer service management on SaaS, we wanted to basically re-engineer the product for SaaS. And the reason you see Service Anywhere here is that this is an offering that has been designed from the ground up for SaaS. And as far as SM is concerned, we do have a fully committed 3-year roadmap for SM 9.3 onwards on-premise. We do realize that we do have two types of customers: those who prefer on-premise solutions, and those others who would like to prefer something lightweight, easy to start with, and as a policy decision that it needs to be on SaaS. So we do have fully committed roadmaps, 3-year roadmaps for both of these offerings.
Great. The next question, there was a whole lot of questions, but then we will see in terms of questions whatever we could cover. Integrations. Is it feasible to integrate all other HP BTO tools and SAP or other vendor tools? Do we need to have a knowledge regarding certain skills or coding language? If yes, what is the language used? This is a question from Apeksha Prasad.
Good question. So today we support web services. So you simply need to know the WSDLs that we need to connect with. If you're able to use web services to connect with your respective applications, that's fantastic. For the rest of the BTO tools that you might be familiar with, in your solutions, we support connected. So in that sense, we have Service Anywhere adapters to connect it, and connect it, of course, connects to all the other tools put together. So in that sense, we have the mechanism to be able to integrate with other tools.
Okay, great. Next one is from a migration strategy from HP Service Manager to Service Anywhere. How can we take business logics defined in SM? For example, the format control, links, scripts to Service Anywhere. Can we do that, or are we talking about only the data from HP? Are we talking about data or the locations, contacts that could be migrated from Service Manager to Service Anywhere?
I would actually recommend a PS, quick start service in this case, because one is, of course, in terms of your user data. I think we do offer tools which allow you to move user data across. We do not recommend, first of all, we don't support, and we do not recommend moving all past incidents into the new system. Thirdly, when it comes to your implemented processes, see, what we support in Service Anywhere is simple out of the box ITIL v3 processes, and it helps to have a first level assessment of the customization that you would have done with your processes as it is implemented. There needs to be a little bit of a mapping between the processes that you have and the processes that you ought to build in our environment. If you do have a document where you have documented your processes, and I think that should solve about 70% of your migration related effort. Because what you're essentially doing is taking that process knowledge and looking at the tool and saying, okay, I want Service Anywhere to be able to do the process that I currently have, and that simplifies your migration. If you don't have that, I would recommend that you engage with professional services to be able to provide you with that as-is assessment of your process.
Great. The next question is on the auto upgrades. Will it take care of integrations with other tools as well, or are we talking about, let's say, from an existing version of Service Anywhere, does it actually move on to the next version seamlessly, but not the integrations?
It includes integrations, and that is the intention. So the way we are doing this is that you have tables that are used by the system. There are tables that have been extended by our customers for configurations, and then there are integrations that come with. The impact of having this layered architecture, if you recollect, I put together a picture of 4 layers in the architecture. The reason we have a layered architecture is to be able to delineate, to ensure that there's no risk between one layer and the other, right? So that way HP is able to get away with upgrading system tables without actually impacting anything else in the system. So the layered architecture approach actually helps in this regard.
Okay, great. Is it possible to customize, Swapna Aburi asks, is it possible to customize a new module in SaaS like HP Service Manager?
Yes, you can. So the The interesting thing here is that let's say you pick a module like incident. So you go and you look at the out-of-the-box process that comes with it. If you don't like what you're seeing, or if your needs are something else, you can insert a step. You can insert approvers. You can change actions. Like for example, if a certain step leads to something else, the actions that are required at that step could be changed. So you can actually extend the module and the process to suit your organizational requirements. So in that sense, it comes with best practices, but at the same time, it is extensible as long as you have your own reasons of why you're doing that.
Great. This is an interesting question from Han Ping Feng. If customer wants a charge based on number of tickets of incident, problem, and change requests, so that they can charge back to their each department, can SaaS allow doing so?
Well, it certainly is an interesting question. As far as we are concerned in SaaS, we do only charge you based on number of users. But at the same time, the reporting allows you to collect information about types of incidents, degrees of severity, the amount of time it has taken for resolution, and so on. So if you'd like to use the report as a basis of a financial invoice, to say at the end of the month, we have handled 75 calls of severity 1, and hence we will charge you on forward. Yeah, you can use, but we don't have a chargeback module in the tool. But we do have reporting available in the tool, in the sense that you'll be able to take the data authoritatively to your end customer and end user.
Right. So I think we'll have one more final question. I know that a couple of questions are still pending, but just to make sure everybody are having that time. So what is the benchmark against similar tools? I mean, comparing with ServiceNow or Remedy or ITSM 7.5, how do you see SaaS in that's a question from Ravi Kumar BN.
Fantastic. I love this question, and in fact, it's a very important question to us. That is the reason the Service Anywhere offering exists today, and we have done that important benchmark. We have benchmarked against our competitors. So, speaking of BMC, BMC actually has two offerings. You can do Remedy Force, which is BMC running on the Force platform, and then you also have Remedy on Demand. Actually, we think that first of all, BMC has confused the market by having two offerings. Right? I think they're not able to decide which is strategic. A lot of customers are coming back and saying, for Remedy Force, if there is a problem on the platform and if there is a data breach or data confidentiality, who is responsible? Is BMC responsible, or is it Salesforce.com who is running the platform that's responsible? You do not have one throat to choke. And I think to some extent they have answered that question with Remedy on Demand, but we believe that it is not a scalable platform.
Okay.
And speaking of ServiceNow, we also noticed that ServiceNow, of course, came with the SaaS offering as an innovative thing, but what we have seen is that ServiceNow lacks the other tools that are needed in an operational environment. Like, for example, monitoring and automation and so on. Of course, they claim that they integrate with everybody else, but at the end of the day, they are a pure play, service management player. As far as HP is concerned, HP's position is actually very different. We are a market leader in the areas that we work in, which is in terms of monitoring, automation, for example, and service management, and our integration with our DevOps side of the story. So for us, we are probably the only vendor who has a complete offering now, from service management on SaaS, to monitoring on SaaS, to application lifecycle management and DevOps on SaaS. We are pretty much the most comprehensive offering in the industry. Okay, any other questions?
I think we are on the top of the hour. So what I'm going to ask is, if people are interested, we would like to hand over a white paper on SaaS. So if you want to have it as a copy of our SAS white paper, please put it into your question pane, and we will have it send it across to you, the white paper. So with that, this is the session is recorded. We look forward to having you host another session from the Bangalore chapter. On behalf of the entire Bangalore chapter team and Hemant, we thank you all for attending today's webinar. The slide deck along with the recording will be posted into the Vivit site and be posted to all our Vivit members. So with that, I will hand it over to Stephanie to do the closing comments.
Thank you all for joining today. Look in the next few days for the Vivit on the Vivit website and your email with the link to where the recording and the questions and answers in a written format, as well as the slide deck will be posted as Suresh mentioned. Glad you could join us today, and we will, if you did indicate in the questions or the follow-up survey that you would like the white paper, we will email that to you as well. Thanks again for joining, and have a great evening, afternoon, or morning wherever you are.
Thanks a lot, guys, and have a good day. Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.